Hey everyone, Bella here, your favorite content creation specialist over at Self Publishing School, and today we're going to be talking about outlining and how it is by far the best way to make sure you're writing your book with a purpose. But of course, what does that even mean? Of course you're writing your book with a purpose, right? Right? We can't all be Stephen King. And by that, I mean that he's not the type of person who outlines every phase of his book before writing. He is a pantser. And that doesn't mean that he runs around pulling people's pants down, although that would be really funny. No, he is a pantser, which means that he writes by the seat of his pants. He doesn't really have much of a plan other than just a vague idea of where he wants a story to go. So he doesn't use an outline. But that being said, he does admit that he at least knows what he kind of wants the ending to look like. So he has little ideas of what he wants to do along the way, and as he's writing, he jots down notes about what he wants to happen next. So he kind of does have an outline, but it's just not what he would consider an outline to be. So what is an outline? Basically, an outline is a roadmap or a blueprint for your novel. It basically has what happens in each chapter and how you're going to support those events. If you remember from middle school or even high school, learning how to outline and it being miserable, it's not exactly the same process with a book, but it is very similar. But before we get into how to outline and all of our different methods for both nonfiction and fiction, we have to understand if you are an outliner. Everybody's mind works differently. And if you're the type of person who needs to have a plan for everything, including just lunch plan, weekend plans, you have to plan everything in advance, then an outline is definitely going to be for you. If you're the type of person who just likes to be spontaneous and go with whatever and you hardly ever plan, you might be more of a pantser than you are a plotter. Now me, I have learned over the couple years that I've been writing that I am a plotzer, which means that I do like to plot, but I like to leave a lot of the events within those plots up to interpretation. So when I outline personally, my idea is to have the basic outcome of each chapter. So I know what I want the desired outcome to be, but just not the events that lead to that. So that really gives me a lot of opportunity to make things up on the fly or to change the plot around a little bit more than if I had a strict outline. But you have to decide what is best for you. Now here at Self Publishing School, we tell all of our students to write an outline no matter what, just because of all the benefits that come with writing an outline. So what are those? What are the benefits of actually writing an outline? Why should you spend so much time planning out your novel before actually writing it? Well, number one, it's going to make the process a lot faster. Because you know what you're writing next, you can just go right into that versus spending a lot of your writing time just thinking of what you want to happen next. Secondly, you know how your story ends if you have an outline, which means there are more opportunities for you to drop little hints for your readers or to structure your story so that readers are more surprised by the ending. Reason number three is that it eliminates a really large reason writers develop writer's block. Because you know what's happening next, you have to sit and think and come up empty-handed, or I guess empty-worded. You know what's happening, and therefore you don't have that affecting your writer's block in any way. Reason number five is that it allows you to focus on the quality of your writing. Because you're not worried about coming up with new ideas to write about next, you can focus on making the ideas you do have explained in a really eloquent and beautiful way. So the quality of your writing is going to be a lot higher to start. So with your first draft, it's going to be a lot higher quality. And the great thing about that is that every draft just gets better. But if you start with a high quality draft, just imagine how great the final product is going to be. And that's what an outline can help with. Now that you know the benefits of outlining, let's actually talk about how to do it and the different methods and those benefits so you can actually reap the rewards of having an outline. There are a ton of different ways to outline a book, and your job is to figure out which method you like the best and which works best for you. Some methods are more visual and some are more structural, so it just depends on the way your mind works and what is most pleasing to you. First up, we'll cover some nonfiction methods. These can also be used for fiction, but it's just more tailored towards nonfiction writers. We will cover fiction in a little bit. First up is our mind map and outline method. This is the one we practice the most here at Self Publishing School. We have found that it works the best for getting all of your ideas out and then transferring that into an outline that is cohesive and covers all of the different areas that you want. Basically, with the examples that you'll see right here, you start in the middle and you branch out to further your topic and to just dive a little bit deeper into those thoughts. And once you have all those done, you'll translate it into a more cohesive list style outline. So you'll take your mind map and you'll find the biggest points, the sections that have the most ideas, and you'll focus on narrowing those down into specific chapters, and you'll have an outcome that looks something like one of these from our students. Method number 2 is a simple bullet point outline. This is something that I used to do the most back in the day. All you have to do is write down all of the ideas you have for your book in bullet point format, and then what you're gonna do is organize these in order of how you want them to happen and just make another bullet list just in order. And then what you do is you'll draw a line or you'll type a line, whichever you're doing this on a notebook or on a Word doc. And you will simply put a line for each chapter. So you'll section off those bullet points within chapters, and that's how you will structure your novel. It's one of the simpler methods that doesn't go as deep into structuring it, but it still works really great for those who don't need a super comprehensive outline. Number 3 is a chapter by chapter outline. This is personally how I like to outline my books, and you'll see in the example here that all you have to do is come up with the chapter's main objective and then supporting points beneath it. And these are going to be the stuff that you go deep into and you do the research on in order to support your overarching idea. This part is really easy, and it's another one that if you're not super into going very, very detailed with every fact you want to cover, it's good for giving you an idea of where to start and where to go next. Method number 4 is for all you artsy types out there, and this one also works for fiction. You can actually sketch an outline. If you're somebody who likes to draw and that's how you gain your inspiration, just drawing a little, I guess, comic or timeline of what's going to happen in your novel can help you just know where you're going. This doesn't personally work for me because I can't draw worth crap, but for all of you other very talented artists out there, it might be one of the ways that you can, 1, get inspired and motivated, and 2, have an outline and a structure and a direction for your novel. Number 5 is to actually use an outside software to do your outlining, like Scrivener. Scrivener, if you're not familiar, is basically a writing software tool for writers made by writers. So it's very intuitive. We actually have a video all about how to use Scrivener. If you're interested, you can check that out there. But basically, the outlining tool is great because you can follow along really easily, and it's just made for writers. So instead of using these methods, you can easily just go on to Scrivener, especially if you already have it, and use the outlining tool they have available there. Before we get into fiction, just comment down below if you've used any of these outlining methods mentioned so far and which works best for you. You can also comment a method that you use that we haven't mentioned yet to see if you have one of the methods that we're talking about today. So let's switch gears a little bit into the fiction world. Fiction is a little bit differently because there are different goals in terms of themes and messages and plot and the structure overall. So outlining for fiction can be a little bit more complicated than outlining nonfiction just because you do have a plot, you do have characters, and if you have multiple characters, it can get a little messy. Speaking from experience. So first up for the fiction methods, number 6 in our methods overall is the simple table outline. You can open an Excel document and make a timeline and just put the events down under there, kind of like the example you see here. So you can easily keep track of time this way, and it's very useful if your novel takes place over a long period of time, anywhere from a few months to a year to 3 to 10 years. It's much easier if you have a timeline and you know what events occur where. Excel spreadsheet and creating a table for that is just way easier. Method number 7, and specifically for fiction, is the post-it note method. This is easily used for nonfiction as well, and we love it here at Self-Publishing School. We highly recommend all of our students use it simply because it's very visual, it's very interactive, and it's available for you to see pretty much always, to the point that your spouse or significant other or children may actually get annoyed that you have sticky notes all over the wall. But this is great for those of you who feel like you need some external motivation to keep writing because it's a constant reminder to write, and it's very easy to structure and move things around if you want. Method number 8 is the snowflake method. This outlining method was actually created by Randy Ingermanson. This is based around the idea that good fiction doesn't just happen, it's created. This is based on his idea that good fiction doesn't just happen, it's designed. And so he created a system where you build off of each element in order to create a longer outline. So you'll start with a line from your book and then move to a paragraph and then to a chapter, and that's how you will fill out your outline. There's a much longer system. I'll link that resource for you down in the description below so you can take a look at his exact process to create an outline with the snowflake method. Method number 9 is the skeletal method. This is a pretty simple, bare bones outline, no pun intended, basically, or intended. But basically, this is super simple. It's for those of you who don't necessarily need a whole lot of detail, but you can make it as detailed as you want as well. This one is similar to just the basic outline, and I'll put an example up for you. It's basically when you have the chapter, main ideas, and then supporting events or any other details that you want to make sure you cover within the chapter in order to support the main idea. Method number 10 to outline your novel is actually to do it through a template. There are many different templates online that you can use in order to just fill out and get a decent structure for your novel. Some of them follow the hero's journey. There are plenty of mystery and even romance novel outlines out there. I will link some resources for you down below to take a look at, and as always, you don't have to follow these outlines exactly how they're presented. It's just a guideline to help you get your story in a structure that's typical for the type of book that you're writing. And last but not least, method number 11 is the reverse outline. So if you like to do things backwards, this one is great for you. You start at the end of your novel and you work back. This allows you to make your story very complex because you are working backwards. It's kind of like you have all of these secrets and you can hide them so much easier when you are working backwards. And this is great for developing characters because you know what they're going to be like at the end, so you can kind of craft their journey backwards to make a little bit more sense. And that's all we've got for different outlining methods. There are tons of different methods out there. You can use a combination of them. You don't have to outline at all if that's not for you. These are just the methods that we've learned produce the best books in the end, and specifically the best first drafts, because the better your first draft, the better your end result. Outlining your book can help you save time, energy, and hair because you won't be pulling it out as you sit hunched over your laptop, desperate for words to come that just won't. Outline your book, friends. Use one of these methods. Comment down below which one you're gonna try out. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, if you had fun, or just if you're feeling happy today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
My number one takeaway so far has been clarity. I'm very grateful I took the leap because now I am able to move forward with that clear plan. On the fence, I think I would say that you'll never know if you don't try. And in this ground and with this many other brilliant people, you're going to gain something. So just go.